Today, Amazing Workplaces goes in conversation with Ben Whitter. Ben Whitter is an authority on employee experience and is popularly known as Mr. Employee Experience. He is the best-selling author of his recently launched book, Employee Experience. Ben is a prolific speaker, writer, coach and advisor. He helps organizations build their advanced employee experience capabilities to deliver exceptional human and business outcomes. Today, in a Zoom interview, we speak to Ben about his book and try to understand the concept of employee experience from none other than Mr. Employee Experience himself.
I work with organizations and colleagues to build better employee experiences. So we focus on, how do we arrive at really exceptional business and human outcomes? And one approach that's really come into its own in the last few years is employee experience. This holistic focus on developing a really positive experience in work for employees, and then that transfers onto the impact to customers and shareholders and people in society as well. So employee experience is what I'm all about, really. Well, for me, I've spent a career in HR. So I started as a generalist HR practitioner, and from there moved into organizational development. So got a good grounding in the OD field. But really from, say, about 2014, we started doing some foundational research on employee experience. What is it? What are the big things that impact on employees? What really creates a positive employee experience? And what are some of the things that get in the way of that? So we did a rigorous academic study on this across Asia, and the findings kind of blew me away, really. So it was very, very in terms of, we delivered, a good employee engagement score, or we are a highly engaged organization, but it's not the focus of the field or the discipline. The experience is the focus in order to deliver the engagement. But the other concept that I presented in my book is a more holistic view of, where we look for the evidence. So we look at the total return on experience now, as opposed to employee engagement. So good HR work or good internal work on employee experience is, employee engagement is just one outcome of many outcomes. And, the biggest outcome of employee experience is the results in terms of brand performance and people performance, I would say. closing on 5 years now. So I wrote an article alongside some of the research we were doing on employee experience, which kind of blew up and has been viewed 1 million times and recycled by all manner of different HR publications and media. So that was a catalyst, I suppose, to really go deeper into employee experience. I was offered book deals back in 2015 to broaden out my theories and my ideas about employee experience. But I kind of rejected them at the time in terms of I wasn't ready to share about employee experience. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to study it. I wanted to go and see what was happening within organizations who were embracing the experience as opposed to anything else, and see what was going on really. So that's taken me all around the world, 16 plus countries, talking about experience, learning, sharing about employee experience. And then the outcome of all of that, I would say, is the book. Yeah, the primary audience is HR colleagues, certainly. HR colleagues who are working on their employee experience strategies. But I would say this is more, it's certainly written in a way that's positioned more mainstream. So I think this applies to any leadership role. So any colleague who's interested in delivering better outcomes should be gravitating towards the experience that they provide or the conditions they create or help facilitate within their teams. So I think the lessons and the principles and the models I present and the tools and techniques, I think they apply to CEOs, C-suite colleagues, managers in general, as well as HR and any employee-facing function, because it is a holistic concept. And the way I present it, anyone can use the holistic employee experience as a way to improve their outcomes, whether that's team performance, team morale, team outcomes in terms of business performance. And I think the feedback that's coming in from around the world so far, again, a lot of customer experience professionals reading the book as a pathway into employee experience as well, which is fascinating. The workplace is about humans. That's not such a hard concept to understand, but you'd be surprised how many companies find it hard to apply and think about employees as human beings. So this is looking at, not just creating a great experience for people within work, but actually how do we create a great life for employees outside of work as well. So the connection between people and society and community and the work and the home life is getting very, very narrow now. So we need to accommodate and respond accordingly. We spend a lot of time in work, so we really need to create great positive experiences. So that's a big concept, which is it's now about moving towards human centricity in the way that we build our HR functions, the way we build our HR practices, policies, procedures, and turn them more into experiences where we can connect with them emotionally, where we can really connect with the people around us, but also the organization and its mission and its purpose. So that's a big thing. I think the main framework that I present is a holistic employee experience. So we talk about all the major elements of employee experience and how we connect to the truth, which is the purpose, the mission, and the values of the business. So how do we do that in a really effective way? And the only way we can do that really is if we think about the organization in a holistic sense, as opposed to doing initiatives and activities in separate functions and hoping they're going to connect. That doesn't really happen. We have to engineer it. Employee experience is not something that you've got a framework and then you apply it at every single company. It just doesn't work. So this is why I've been to 16 countries. I've worked and lived in 8 countries myself. 3 years in China, which was a complete, it was an epic experience, let's put it that way. So as a practitioner, you understand that the context is king. We have to focus on the individual context and the circumstances and the people we have and our own individual mission, our unique position in the world. I think in that sense, it applies for any Indian organization that's looking to grow, that's looking to expand, that's looking to develop, that's maybe looking beyond India into international markets. So how do we connect people across territories and markets and sectors. I think that's the very interesting aspect of this, because the truth is universal. How you apply and develop the truth, which is your purpose, your mission, your values, will vary from context to context. If you try and do this, the things you do in Mumbai, in London, if you try and operate the same way you operate in Shanghai that you do in San Francisco, it's not going to work. And we've seen that from epic market disasters when people have entered markets and they've been quickly thrown out. So for India market in particular, I would say there's still something to do on the understanding about employee experience. So what is employee experience and how do we apply it? But then the next step is how do we mature our approach and challenge some of the presumptions and assumptions we have about how do we deliver a great organization. So there's the book. This is the physical book that you can get. And it really is well, it's been called a route map for employee experience.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in the topic and the field, you want to know what employee experience is and how you can successfully apply it in practice, some fantastic case studies from organizations around the world, and some great insights and frameworks and tools you can apply immediately within your teams and workplaces.